Hello everyone, I'm Paul McGuire Grimes. Music has the power to transport us to another time and another place. The new film, The Greatest Hits, takes a look at what could happen if music could take us back to saving someone's life as a way to cope with grief. It's now streaming on Hulu, and I want to talk about it. This is Paul's trip to the movies. For Lucy Boynton's character, Harriet, listening to vinyl records or her Spotify playlists takes her back to vivid memories with her boyfriend Max, who's played by David Corenswet. It's been 2 years since his tragic death in a car accident. Harriet survived the crash, but has been racked with guilt and grief since then. Her apartment has this kind of timeline of events and memories and musical selections leading up to that moment. She attends a grief support group where she meets David, who's played by Justin H. Min, who recently lost his parents. Now, David also happens to have a love of music and vinyl, and it's this connection that really allows Harriet the chance to potentially move on from Max's passing. The film also stars Retta as the grief support leader and Austin Crute as Harriet's best friend Morris. The Greatest Hits comes from writer-director Ned Benson, who offers a really unique look at the grieving process. Hopefully, anyone can relate to this notion that music has the ability to take us back to a specific memory from our past. We see that through Harriet, as certain songs take her back to a Halloween party or the outdoor music festival where she met Max. If you've ever dealt with sudden loss or grief, you'll also understand how that can kind of creep up on you without any warning. Harriet is young and really struggles with the acceptance that comes with grief and death. Now, Ned Benson wisely knows the stages of grief and knows that they're not linear, and we see Harriet certainly going through that roller coaster of emotions, acceptance, and just wanting to change the past. It'd be easy for a character like this to be a sad sack, but I felt like there's a really enduring quality through Lucy Boynton's performance that really carries the film with just enough hope for the audience. The story poses as a reminder for the Harriets out there to allow yourself to move on and accept what's to come next after death. We see that ignited through the character of David, and Justin H. Min is so charming and lovable. He's not some pretentious music geek, but meets Harriet where she's at while trying to push her along the way. Now, Ned Benson teases this concept of Harriet going back in time with music, and you're not quite sure if this is just intuition, a mental escape, or an actual bit of time travel. This really gets explored in depth in the climax as that teaching tool it needs to be for Harriet. It adds in that fantasy element of the movie, taking it, I think, out of the realism that the rest of the movie sits in. The Greatest Hits is only 90 minutes, and really worth a watch with its enduring performances and its indie folk soundtrack. I think if you liked 500 Days of Summer, this really should appeal to you as well. I'm giving The Greatest Hits 3.5 out of 5 ticket stubs. If you like more review today, click subscribe on my YouTube channel, click that subscribe button. Give me a follow. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment on YouTube or on social media at Paul's Movie Trip. What are you watching right now? What are you streaming, binging, maybe going to the theater? I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment on social media at Paul's Movie Trip or here on YouTube. I'd love for you to go to the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival. It's going on starting April 11th through the 25th at the Main Cinema. If you love film festivals, if you want to see some independent films, some international films, this will be right up your alley. And cinematographer Roger Deakins will be here in Minneapolis for a special screening of Fargo and for a book signing, so you don't want to miss out on that. I'd love for you to go check it out, and if you're there, let me know. Leave me a comment on social media. So go check out the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival. I have more information on that on my website, paulstriptothemovies.com. Thank you so much for watching my review of The Greatest Hits. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies.